Australia has been talking about high-speed rail for over 50 years, but in 2026, something's actually changed. The government has committed hundreds of millions of dollars, plans are being locked in, and for the first time this project is finally starting to look real. But here's the question, is Australia finally getting high-speed rail, or is this just another $90 billion promise that never happens? High-speed rail in Australia is still not under construction, nothing is being built yet, but it has entered something called the development phase in the recent year or so. This means that routes are finally being finalised, environmental studies are happening, and the government is finally preparing for the project to actually be built. To give you an idea, around $600 million has already been committed just to get to this stage. So no, you won't exactly see trains tomorrow, but this is the most serious this project has ever been. So what's actually being built? The first stage focuses entirely on New South Wales, specifically the Sydney to Newcastle corridor. The plan is to connect Sydney, Parramatta and the new Western Sydney Airport, the Central Coast and Newcastle. And this isn't just a faster train, we're talking true high-speed rail, with trains reaching up to a whopping 320 kilometers per hour, smashing the original records of the fastest trains in Australia. That would cut the trip from Sydney to Newcastle from around 2.5 hours around to just 1 hour. To give you an idea, it currently takes 1 hour to travel from Newcastle to Wyong by regular train, but to travel from Newcastle to Sydney, it also takes 1 hour. That's a huge difference, meaning that people who live in Newcastle can finally work in Sydney and be back just an hour later. This isn't just about getting somewhere faster. This could completely change how people live in New South Wales and possibly the rest of Australia in the decades to come, because suddenly places like the Central Coast or Newcastle aren't so far away anymore, they're commuting distance. Meaning that the Central Coast will just be half an hour away from Sydney, closer by train than some other stations in the Greater Sydney area such as Liverpool, taking nearly an hour to travel into Sydney. High-speed rail from the Central Coast will take half that time. But here's where things get complicated. This project could cost up to $90 billion, making it one of the most expensive infrastructure projects in Australian history. And building it won't be easy as well. Between Sydney and Newcastle, you've got mountains, national parks, and dense urban areas. That means tunnels, bridges, and massive engineering challenges. And on top of that, ticket prices are still nowhere near confirmed, because if it's too expensive, people simply won't use it every day. The reality is, Australia is way behind. Countries like Japan, France, and China have had high-speed rail for decades. Australia is trying to catch up more than 50 years later. This isn't without saying though that Australia has already made incredible progress in public transport, such as Sydney's brand new driverless metro line, with many other cities across Australia also expanding to new technologies such as platform screen doors at stations and new rapid transit metro style systems. And this is where things get interesting, because this first line isn't just another infrastructure project, it's a test. If the Sydney to Newcastle line works, it could unlock a full high-speed rail network across Australia's east coast in the decades to come. But if it fails, if costs blow out, or demand isn't there, the entire idea could disappear for another generation, only to be brought up in the far future as a failed project and something that was never able to become a success in Australia. Even in the best case scenario, construction isn't expected to start until around 2028, and the line itself, that will not likely open until at least the late 2030s, possibly the early 2040s. Keeping in mind, these are only the dates if construction is to start within the next 5 years. So no, this is not happening anytime soon. In my opinion, although it would be a short line, an extension from Central Station to Sydney's new Western Sydney Airport via Parramatta on high-speed rail would be huge for Sydney, benefiting many people over many decades to come. With proposals such as this is no longer just about transport, it's about reshaping Sydney's entire layout for many years to come. You can view my videos on the top right of the screen here, but I've criticised the way that public transport has been designed for Western Sydney Airport for many years now, and how I believe a short metro line connecting to St Mary's, a rather small part of Sydney connected to a line that is at least over an hour away from Sydney Central Station, is a horrible idea. If you're interested in videos like that, consider checking that one out, or subscribe to my channel to stay tuned for many videos such as that coming out in the next few weeks. Better transport connections need to be established to drive people in Sydney towards Western Sydney International Airport, and I would not be surprised that after opening, the crowds eventually die down with the limited access of public transport to the new airport. For example, the Sydney Metro Western Sydney Airport line has of course already been delayed until at least late 2027, meaning that when the airport opens, there will only be a bus service to the airport. For those who know the famous Australian TV show known as Utopia, you'll know that they've done an episode on high-speed rail, making a parody of the original very fast train proposal, as seen here.
I've been doing this job 20 years and trust me, every time we announce a very fast train, 95% of Australians are for it.
And the other 5%?
Who are they?
Engineers, economists, experts in transport,
Yeah,
logistics.
the lunatic fringe. Real people love it.
Because if you want to build this thing...
Whoa, I don't want to build it. I want to launch it.
Your study concluded it wasn't viable, but that was many years ago. Okay, 2 years ago.
Gradient shouldn't be a problem if we've just got to flatten out a few hills. Yeah, the Blue Mountains, sure, that's a little more challenging.
Hey, can we just move this thing forward?
If you opened your mouth, I might.
Until the election.
Oh, sorry.
Believe it or not, as much as this show makes it out to be a parody, a lot of the stuff said actually happened and is true. Such as the fact that many governments in history have proposed high-speed rail announcing that it would come during their government term, but only just before an election, and once the election's over, they no longer talk about it, adding decades to the wait for high-speed rail. Seen here are some graphics that I made a few months ago in a video that I also posted a few months ago on my proposals for future high-speed rail lines in Australia, and the refinements that I'd make to the existing ones, such as the fact that I do personally believe that the line from Sydney to Newcastle was not a good idea for a first stage, and a line such as Sydney to Canberra would have been a much smarter idea. Starting off with stage 1, from Sydney through to Canberra. The line would stop at Sydney Central Station with most likely new underground platforms to allow for a new high-speed rail terminal or something similar to that somewhere around Sydney. We'll then be moving on to Western Sydney International Airport to connect airport passengers, then on down to Wollongong, Moss Vale, Goulburn, and then Canberra. This would be the first stage of the high-speed rail network, and this is what I think they should have been working on right now, not a line from Newcastle through to Sydney. Stage 2 of the line would be an extension from Canberra through to Melbourne, allowing for a Sydney to Melbourne route. Starting off with, there would be a brand new Y-link that would be connecting the line between Canberra and Melbourne, as well as Sydney. This means that services can run express from Sydney all the way through to Melbourne without having to stop at Canberra, which is currently in the original plans, and they can also allow for services running direct to Canberra and also to Melbourne via Canberra. Following the Y-link, the service would stop at Wagga Wagga, Albury or Wodonga, either one of the two would fit well, then on to Melbourne. There is opportunity to have more stations between Albury and Melbourne, so if you have any ideas, let me know in the comments below. Moving on to stage 3 of the line, from Sydney all the way through to Brisbane, which is by far the most complex extension that they would add to the network. It would start off at Sydney Central Station, stopping next at Gosford or Wyong, then Newcastle, Taree, Port Macquarie, Coffs Harbour, Grafton, Lismore, Byron Bay, Gold Coast Airport, the Gold Coast, and Brisbane. I've also added here, as seen in the purple, as a possible future high-speed rail line that could also be added. However, I have not shaded it in orange, as it could be a bit of a 50-50 sort of line. So let me know in the comments below if you like the idea of a line towards Tamworth and Armidale. Stage 4, which is the final stage that I'll be proposing, is from Melbourne to Adelaide, stopping at Melbourne, then Ballarat and Adelaide. In purple there is also a more less direct route towards Adelaide, which could stop at Geelong, Warrnambool, Mount Gambier, and all the way through to Adelaide. Just remember, these are only proposals, meaning that I don't actually know if these towns would suit well for high-speed rail, so if you have any other ideas, once again, let me know in the comments below. And this here would be the full high-speed rail network map. Originating from Sydney, heading up towards Brisbane, the Gold Coast, Coffs Harbour, Byron Bay, then down towards Canberra, through Western Sydney's new international airport, parts of the Southern Highlands, then on down to Melbourne through Wagga Wagga, Albury, then on through to Adelaide through Ballarat, and possibly through Geelong. Now, since I'm not a financial expert, I have absolutely no idea how much this would cost. However, from a complete guess, I would say at least several $100 billion, as imagine all the kilometres of track, overhead wiring and infrastructure, as well as the stations itself that would need to be built along this corridor. In regards to trains, there would at least have to be probably close to about 50 to 100 high-speed trains to allow for a frequent service through these cities. So to sum it all up, is high-speed rail finally coming to Australia? Maybe. One thing I can say for certain is we are closer than ever to seeing high-speed rail finally reach Australia, with planning well underway and announcements to come in the coming months. As many say, such as myself, I won't believe it until I'm sitting in the seat on the first high-speed rail service in the many years to come. And that's all for this video. Thank you all very much for watching, and consider subscribing to the channel, liking the video, or even becoming a member to get access to exclusive perks such as early access to new videos or members only videos kind of like this one if you enjoyed the video. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.